Hey everyone. So today I'm going to discuss a very important topic, which is the effect of promotions, or in particular discounts on sales. Right. So lift in sales means what is the uplift? What is the increase, the net increase in sales after a promotion has been applied. So how do we actually go about calculating that? How do we go about analyzing that? Before coming directly to this point, let me first address a very important issue here. That is, applying promotions or discounts should not be, a completely mindless affair. You should always take into consideration a number of factors, and the most important of them is the long term as well as the short term effects, and the balance between the long term and short term effects. This is very important because sometimes you'll see that promotions have given you a lot of positive returns in the short term. The sales have increased in the short term, but in the long run, it is it's essentially a zero sum game, that there is no net increase in sales if you consider a longer time period. So that being said, I'll jump right into this document that I've created. I've also actually created a post around it on LinkedIn, where I have shared the same document, and some people have also engaged with it. So I decided to actually make a video and explain a video around this, because I think a lot of people may not be familiar with some terms like lift, but this is the most scientific term, because that's how experimentation and marketing analytics in general defines an increase in sales. That the most scientific term is lift. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. So this is the formula. This is actually the method of calculating overall lift. After a promotion has been applied on a certain item, on a set of items. So the first component obviously will be the net lift in the promoted item sales. So here we are starting with the assumption that there is already a lift, a positive impact is already been seen in the sales of that item for during the period of the promotion. I mean, doing a before after analysis, and then you don't just stop there. That's what this formula, that's what this approach is saying. That do not just stop at just the immediate lift that you have got in sales after applying the promotion. You also look into other things which are called halo, cannibalization, and pull forward effect. All right. So let's actually do a discussion of this, and this I'm doing through the use of something called a waterfall chart. I'll dive deeper into it, and I'll actually show you how to build this chart through Python, and it's going to be a very simple piece of code. I'm going to just walk you through it. You can use that piece of code and actually build your own waterfall chart, and I will also tell you that it's going to be much easier than doing so in Excel. You can do that in Excel, but it's a little complicated in Excel. The setup itself is more complex, I'd say, than the one in Python. The Python is going to be just a one-click thing. In Excel, you actually have to do a lot of things. But I'll actually do a video in the future about how to create waterfall charts in Excel as well. But what this chart is basically saying is that it's giving us a lift breakdown. So how is this overall lift calculated? So we obviously had this first component, which was the lift in promoted item sales. And this in our example is say 20. These are obviously hypothetical numbers, but yeah, if you've got the lift in sales, then you add to it something called a halo. All right, so I'll obviously explain each of these terms, but how to read this chart, let's actually see that first, so that you visually understand what's going on here in this equation. That this is a positive impact, as indicated by the green bar, the green color of the bar. So the halo is actually adding to it, so 10 points gets added, 30, and then cannibalization takes away 5 points here, so you have 25, and you have 3 more points taken away by the pull forward effect, and so you're left with 22. So you started with 20, you're left with 22. So this is what essentially happened in between. So these intermediate steps are what is is what is getting explained. The steps are getting explained by this particular formula. Now, if I jump into the individual terms, let us explain them one by one. Halo is the effect that occurs when promoting one term influences the person, the user, to purchase another item. Okay, when promoting one item to other. So this is essentially called a category spillover. All right. So obviously, every item on your every SKU, in your in your product set, in the in the brand that you are promoting will obviously belong to a certain product category. So when a user actually purchases one item, or rather when you are actually promoting one particular item, there's also going to be the possibility that some other item in that category might also be purchased, because obviously the user is becoming aware of the promotion, they're becoming aware of the brand, they're becoming aware that okay, these people are they have a certain set of offers, certain set of SKUs, and these are their value propositions. So it's not necessary that only those items which are being promoted will be the ones which will actually get sold, right? So what can happen instead is they might go ahead and make purchases of some other items as well. So in that case, what's going to happen is we are going to see the category spillover, and we can actually understand category spillover by doing what is called a market basket analysis. Here, we simply find out what are those items which are being jointly purchased, which are being purchased simultaneously. And this is actually, when I say it's simply, but market basket analysis can be a pretty engaged and involved process. I'll show that in a future video. Again, something very, very interesting and very much a core part of marketing analytics. I'm going to show how to carry out market basket analysis, and actually to find out how to find out what are those items which have been jointly purchased, which have been which are most commonly purchased together. And then once you're able to isolate those items which were not part of that promotion that you just ran, then you will be able to find the solution, or rather find out this impact of the halo effect properly, right? Because then you know that okay, what are those items which were also purchased together with the ones which were on promotion during that period when you were on promotion. So that takes care of the halo effect. We can actually look at this a little bit, sort of schematically through a diagram. What market basket analysis is really doing. So these are different users, as you can see here, and they are obviously, this particular user is buying a shoe and a trouser and a shirt. So they're buying it together. Another user is buying a different set of products together. So from these, you can obviously do a net count of how many times across users certain items are being purchased together. What is the most commonly set of commonly what is the set of most commonly purchased together items, and that is how you can understand the halo effect properly. All right. So it's essentially a data mining technique that reveals product groupings in products that are likely to be purchased together. Okay. I hope that was clear. Now I come to the cannibalization part, which is the second part of the equation, right? So this is cannibalization, and now what it's going to do is we are talking about what it's going to do is it's going to explain, that it's not just going to it's not just going to increase the sales of the promoted item, but it's also going to decrease the sale of another item in the same category. All right. So again, the category part is going to be important in this discussion, in this particular component of sales left due to promotion. So when users rather are purchasing certain items which are on promotion, it often happens that they users are a little agnostic about different items within the same category, because they probably serve a similar sort of purpose, right? So perhaps it's a fashion brand, for instance, and they are obviously, suppose you're selling women's dresses, right? And maybe a certain kind of dress is on promotion, and the dresses are there are obviously different products, separate products within dresses, but they pretty much serve a similar sort of purpose. They obviously have different variants, there are different colors and designs perhaps, but still, when a particular product is actually on promotion, perhaps most of the users go ahead and purchase that, and whatever sales you might have had, if you look at your transaction history, if you look at the product history, you might have seen that certain other products used to have a certain average sales, but you see those average sales drop during that particular promotional period, because people go ahead and rather purchase the product that is on promotion, right? So it's this cannibalization that is going on within that particular category, that the sales are just getting shifted from other products within the category to the one that's on promotion. That's cannibalization. Pretty simple, right? And you can see how important it is to take care, to actually to consider this, right? To actually incorporate this in your discount or promotion impact formulation. Because if you don't do that, and if you just look at the the net sales increase, you're just totally ignoring this important point. So now let's look at the solution. So don't just look at the promoted item sales lift, right? But look at the lift of the overall category. That's the simple way to address this. So item lift and category lift, you have to look at separately. So you see, for instance, in this hypothetical example, we see that there is an item lift. Baseline is simply the sales that happened in absence of the promotion, right? So it can be an average transaction, number of transactions that would happen on a monthly basis, for instance. It can be any monthly period, but that's your baseline. That's when you know that okay, this is the average number of transactions I would get without promotions happening, without no promotions running, when there are no promotions. So baseline is lesser than event, as you can see in the case of item lift, meaning that the event of course is the promotion. So the promotion has caused a lift in item sales. But when you look at the right hand side on the category lift part, you see that there's actually a decrease in the overall category sales. When you do a before after analysis post the promotion. So that means that there has been cannibalization. So this is a case that there has been a clear instance of cannibalization, which is what we saw in the case of the waterfall chart as well, that the cannibalization actually took away some of the positive impact that the initial lift in sales and the halo also showed. So that's the second one, and then we come to the third one, which is a little bit complicated, but and maybe difficult to determine. But let's dive into it. So pull forward effect. It's something that occurs when customers buy products that have repeat purchases. It's very important. So this is particularly important, obviously, when customers for products which actually have tend to have repeat purchases, and this is and this is this effect which happens when customers buy the products which they would have bought anyway, perhaps at a later date, but they're just buying it ahead of their you know probably the scheduled sort of purchase, maybe. I mean, of course, not on a fixed basis, but sometimes it happens right in that way. Like there's a certain repurchase rate, and then you also have a shelf life of the product, and then you also have the average repurchase span, right, after which the customer is going to purchase it. So what happens is, before that average repurchase span, you see a lot of customers purchasing it because they are just going to stock it anyway, and if it obviously has a decent lifespan, then they're going to just stock the product anyway. And then what they're going to do is and that what's going to happen is that you will actually see a dip in the sales after that promotional period, right? Because they have already made those purchases. So you see that there's going to be a temporary increase in sales, but followed by a subsequent decline. So what may seem like an increase in sales, what this is saying, is that it's ultimately a case of preponing future sales. So if you look at the longer period of sales, this might just be a zero-sum game, like I said at the beginning. This might be just a case that okay, these sales would have happened anyway. So it's not really giving you additional sales. If it's just a question of getting sales now for certain business purposes, it might be required, but that's different. But if you're looking at it, if you're going to go back and look at your quarterly numbers, or maybe at an annual sort of review, you probably see that this promotion did not actually have, at least from the point of view of the pull forward effect, did not have a net increase, a net lift in sales, right? So if I look at the pull forward effect, this is my my chart, right? By the way, I have created this visualization, and I'll also show this visualization code as well in Python. This is a little bit more involved, but still, I mean, we can you can always give this a shot as well. And so pull forward effect simply shows that at it shows that this is the event duration, by the way. So this gray section here, this is the period when the promotion was running, and we can see a comparison here as given by the black circles between those periods which are right at the start or right before the promotion started and after the promotion started. And you can see that after the promotion, there's a big decline, which is actually lower than the pre-promotion the sales numbers, right? But during the promotion, there was a huge spike. So again, obviously, when you add these two, when you average these two, you're going to see that there's going to be much a real moderation of the numbers, right? So that's the problem here, and that's what's pull forward effect really. And you see that at period 7 there's a major dip, below even the pre-promotion levels. So that is what I was talking about in this particular post, and now I will just give you a couple of very interesting uh, insights on how to do these visualizations. This is the waterfall chart, and I'll just jump into the waterfall chart here. So this is my code. This is the Python code. This is where I do my coding. I've shown in some other videos as well that I do most of my coding in Google Colab, because it's cloud based, and this is what is my most favorite platform for doing this. And so I'll just jump into this code now. So what this shows is just the hypothetical numbers. So we start with 10 here, as you can see, lift and promoted sales, and then you have 10 is hello, and then -5 is cannibalization, and pull forward is -3, and then we just add them up, right? We just add them here, as you can see, instead of giving a minus before the cannibalization and pull forward, and that's because we are at we already have the minus in the values, right? And then we do the simple plotting, right? And so this is the waterfall chart. So this, by the way, is you know uh, we are just loading, we are importing the module plotly, and from there we are importing um, graph objects, all right, graph underscore objects, and we are just giving it a name go. So waterfall is a type of chart under plotly.graph objects, all right. So that's the model, that's the library that we are going to use in order to do the waterfall chart. And it's pretty simple. You just give the name, you just give the orientation, you just give the measures, all right. So you see that these are all relative, obviously, and then you have a final total. Okay, 1 2 3 4. So these are relative measures, and then you have the total, because this is summing all of these right together. And then you have just the x and y. In the x-axis you just define the names, all right, and these individual elements will go lift in promoted sales, hello, cannibalization, put forward, and over lift. And in the y-axis you'll just provide the actual values, all right, how much are the values. And these are obviously, as you can see, the direct variable names which we have already defined, right? We have initialized, or we have provided the values for these variables already, all right. And the initialized values remain continue to be used. And then we have this connector, which is nothing but these lines which are connecting these two, with each pair of you know elements, each pair of components within this particular chart. And as you can see here, this color coding in RGB is basically for the gray color, and we can just change it to anything, right? So for instance, I can just I can just change it to 255 0 and 0. And if I just change it to this, then we'll see that it's going to become red, right? So the connecting line becomes red. Instead of red, if you just want to go back to gray, you can always change that as well. So this is just the connecting line that you're changing, that you're tweaking, and uh, if I just run it, you'll see that it's going to become gray once more. There you go. If you also want to change, if you obviously, this is ready made, right? So this is going to be a direct piece of code that you can use, and you can just change the value. So for instance, if you already know how much total sales that you can observe in general, what is the total increase in sales that has been observed after the promotion period, obviously for the items that we are looking at. So if this is a higher number, whatever is the number. So for instance, if you have had say 40, let's make it 20, just to make it easier, and and then you can just run it. You'll see that the chart is obviously going to change, and then you see the overall lift is 22, because the difference is now 22, right? So if this was a larger number, say it was 30, then you see again, so this becomes 32. So the difference is always going to be 2, right? It's as long as these remain constant. But if it's say 20, and the halo becomes say 5, now the difference is going to be different, right? So now the difference is going to be a net negative lift of 3, right? So it's actually going to be a decrease. So there you go. from 20 to 17. I hope you can see the annotations that are appearing at the top. So this is what is interesting, right? It gives you a very quick, intuitive understanding of how the different components work together to actually give you your overall sales lift. And it does not necessarily, as you can see, have to be positive. It can be a negative lift, meaning that you have actually found a reduction in overall sales after running the promotion, right? And that can happen because of these intermediate factors, intervening factors like cannibalization and pull forward. Now I'll just jump to the other chart that I had shown, and this was the pull forward effect chart. And this is a very simple chart, and this again, I have generated hypothetical sort of numbers. If I just, that was actually another version of the waterfall chart. And here what I've done really is taken some sample sales data. As you can see here, these sample sales data are been created using a NumPy array, and I put those numbers, so these are the time periods and the sales data are these. So how the sales data are arranged is actually going to be the most important, obviously for generating the sample data. But in your case, obviously you will just put in the real numbers, right? So the pull forward effect takes into account, or is actually visible when you see this sort of a chart where you have pre-promotion sales which is much higher than the post-promotion sales. All right, so that essentially is the pull forward effect, and that happens, like I said, because of the reasons that I had discussed. When you actually have a shelf life of the product, and people decide to purchase ahead of their their average repurchase date anyway, because the promotion is active. All right. So you have the even start, you have the even end, as you can see, 3 and 6 being the start and end dates respectively, endpoints, and then you have the plot, which is the X plot, and it's a very simple line plot, and the line plot actually takes into account these different arguments, the time periods and the sales. Obviously, you have two X and Y axis, and then you have the marker, which is in this format, which is the sort of circular format, and then you have the color red, and then you have the line style, which is in dash format, right? So these are the different things. You can obviously tweak around with it. For instance, you can make it blue, I suppose. You can just quickly check. There you go. You've just changed it to blue, and then you also have the color of this particular section as well. We wanted to change it to, say, for instance, green, just to visualize it. So the event duration is that period when the promotion was running. All right, and then you also have the titles and the labels. So you're putting the title, you're putting the labels, and then you're just plotting it, right? So this is the important part, and see how this can change dramatically. I'll just show you. So you can see 180 75, and then it 180 75, and then it just went to 100. So this was 100 here, and then it shot up to 130, right? But the pull forward effect would not really be the case if, for instance, if this was 110, um, you know, and then it was say 80, and these A5 and 95. So if I just plot this one, for instance, um, oh, even so, there is actually, because in the seventh period we have a dip, right? So it actually went up to 130. But suppose it were to stay at something like say even 90. You know, what I'm trying to say is that you can actually visualize the impact. So you can see that this is not a clear case of a rise during the promotion. Okay, so there is actually a lot of variation going on within the promotional period as well, and you cannot clearly determine what happened before and after. So there is obviously, in fact, some increase in the post period than the pre period, right, compared to the pre period, the pre promotion period. So it entirely depends how your data set is, right, and that visualization is going to change accordingly. So anyway, I mean, this was really my explanation, and I hope that this was very clear to you. And if you need further explanation, you can always reach out to me. And I'm going to be posting more on LinkedIn around this. and I'm also definitely going to look to use more real data and actually show the impact of this. So hope this was clear. Do like and share, and also do subscribe to my channel. Thank you, and stay tuned for upcoming content.